Hello Internet, I'm Haley, and today I'm going to be talking about something a little bit more personal than I usually do. For starters, I know that my channel is kind of a mishmash of everything nerdy, but lately I've been realizing that I haven't entirely put all of my passion in this channel. Obviously this channel is a creative outlet for me, so I do whatever satisfies me, and one of the biggest things about me is my love of documentaries. Recently I was trying to think of what I can do to make this channel even more unique to me, and I realized that I am essentially depriving myself of expressing what is really important to me. And I've just kind of dismissed it as, well, it's really hard to do documentaries on the internet when you have less than 100 subscribers. I don't have enough followers to have a Patreon, so it's really on me. And people may think that documentaries are easier to film because it's real people and this and that, but you still have to pay for location permits and you still have to get people to agree to be on the internet. So there's still a lot that goes into it, but I've decided that now I'm going to dedicate myself to the challenge of making documentaries. That doesn't mean that my channel is going to completely be taken over by documentaries, but I am going to incorporate them much more into my channel as much as I can. And I think it's going to be a little while still before I'm able to actually produce documentaries and get them up here, but that's the goal I'm working towards. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep motivating myself by presenting other material to you guys about documentaries. The first thing that I thought of is to start reviewing more documentaries. I've actually seen a lot of Facebook friends who really enjoy watching documentaries on Netflix. So I'll review Netflix documentaries, but the one that's really important to me, which may not surprise you if you've been following my channel, is I really want to go back and watch the old Disney documentaries, all their wildlife documentaries. Segue, because wildlife documentaries are what got me interested in documentaries in general. So I thought that I would share my story of what personally got me into documentaries with you. So I've always been a lover of animals, especially because of my sister. I've always been taught to respect them. I stopped eating red meat when I was 8 years old. So animals have been a big part of my life, and around middle school, high school, I decided that I wanted to try to be more involved and find different ways to advocate for animals more than just not eating meat. So there was one week in particular in my life that really affected who I am, and it didn't change me because I still had the same moral beliefs, but it kind of gave me this path that I wanted to go down. And that was the week that Steve Irwin died. The day that he died really affected me. I seriously was depressed for a week. They had a marathon of his show on Animal Planet that entire week, so that was all I did. I came home and I watched Crocodile Hunter, and I cried thinking about little Bindi and baby Bob just not having a daddy growing up, and it makes me so happy to see how amazing they are and that they're just tiny little versions of their dad now that they're grown up. One day at the end of the Steve Irwin marathon, they played a show called Caught in the Moment, and sadly the show didn't last long enough, so by the time I discovered it, it was near the end of its run, and I only saw 1 or 2 episodes, but essentially the show was about a naturalist and a wildlife documentarian, and they would go out and try to capture rare animal moments. And it was really interesting because it was almost like a reality show about them trying to film these animals. So you get like a documentary about the animals because they give you all the information about what they are, but you also see what it was like to make the documentary behind the scenes. There was one scene where I think they were trying to capture the spirit bear, which because of that show is now one of my favorite animals. And I remember there being this montage of them just sitting in a forest in the rain, and it just kind of, it did cross dissolves where it just showed clearly time was passing. They were just sitting there, not even talking to each other, just sitting there in silence. And I said, I want to do that. And I know most people say, oh, you want to sit around for 10 hours to maybe get a shot of a tiger? Yeah, that sounds fantastic to me, because you may be waiting a lot with nothing to do, but the minute you see that tiger, I can't imagine how rewarding that would be, and I hope that one day I can experience something like that. So during this week, with Steve Irwin's death and seeing this show, I said, you know, how can I feel positive about what happened? Like, we lost this warrior for animals, and what can I do to make up for that? And I, you know, he's got his children to live his legacy on, but I just want to feel like I'm contributing and continuing something that he started that was so beautiful. So I decided I need to dedicate myself to making documentaries. Fast forward a couple years ago, I graduated, get out of college, don't know what to do with my life. I was working retail and it was the worst experience of my life. I quit, and miraculously within a few weeks I found a job in my field, shooting weddings, which I did for a few years, and then I was offered an opportunity at the station I'm currently working at to work as an editor on an outdoor series, which I work on now. I've been doing this show for over a year, and that was one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. There was an episode where we talked about the desert tortoise, and a viewer called in and said, hey, I have this desert tortoise, I don't know what to do with it, I'm not licensed to carry it, a friend left it with me, and I don't feel like I can really give it the proper care that it needs. Can I get in contact with the expert who was on your show so that I can get that tortoise to him in safe hands? And I wasn't the producer, you know, I didn't choose to shoot it, but being a part in it in some way was one of the most rewarding things I could ever feel. To know for sure that I had affected an animal's life, like, that is so rewarding. Even if it's only one animal, I was a part of something that helped nature. And so now, like, a little small part of my dream has come true. So now we're in the present, and I want to do something for me. I like producing and directing and being out in the field and getting to fly shoot. I like to do everything, and I think the best way to do it is to do it for myself. And there's no limitations of what I will or will not cover, other than the hardest thing is what's in this area that I live in, Las Vegas, or even Nevada. I can travel a little bit to the bordering states, but I don't have the budget to go that far. But other than that, I'm open to any sort of documentary. It doesn't have to be about animals or wildlife. Any story that I find that I think needs to be told, I'm looking to do that now. So that's my personal little documentary story. I just wanted to kind of kickstart this new part of my channel. I'm going to try to challenge myself to maybe incorporate something about documentaries once a month. We'll see how that goes. It really depends on how my time ends up working, but it's really something that I want to shift my focus towards more and more, since this is what I've always wanted. When I review just movies, I hope I find things that interest you. Aside from wildlife documentaries, I really enjoy stories about serial killers and cults. So yeah, I'll review everything, not just wildlife documentaries. If there's anything that you would like me to review or discuss, please comment below. I would love to hear suggestions of really good documentaries to watch. That wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy my future documentary endeavors. I'll see you next week.